Hey, good morning, everybody. Let's see here, September 11th, 9:15 in the morning. It's coming from Morel, Prince Edward Island. Time is, of course, Atlantic time. I'm Michel Vaillancourt, coming at you as Richard Victory Gaming. We're going to do more Dungeons & Dragons design this morning. I got about an hour, possibly two, that I got to put in on my new adventure that I'm working on. Hang on a second while I adjust my mic. There we go, it's a bit better. D&D game last night went really well. Players, group of it's five level 6 characters, got into a fight with a CR13 Devourer, and through some amazingly fun play on their part, some dramatics and everything else, managed to defeat the bad guy. So that was cool. Very pleased about that. I had some concerns. The Devourer, which was it's a large fiend. CR13 has a 44 point AoE necrotic that it can do on a roll of 1 in 6, and tends to cause a fail cascade. I had some concerns about using it as a creature. Thematically, it was the right monster, but yeah, they pulled it off. I'm very pleased. I had warned them when we went into it. We play for about 3 hours every Monday night. Start at 9 o'clock Atlantic time, wrap up at midnight Atlantic time usually. Sometimes we run overtime depending. I let everyone know I fully expected this was going to turn into a siege, and that it was going to drag on well past midnight my time. So don't be offended if, basically at the top of a combat round, I just say, right, we'll finish off next week. And they downed the bad guy with half an hour to spare. So we got to do some admin and wrap up afterwards. They were all pretty happy about that. So yeah, all good news. So now we're gonna get working on the project we started yesterday. I've got some. Today's gonna be maps. I've got enough of a skeleton worked out with the design work we did yesterday. I'll recap it, show everyone in case you're just picking this up for the first time. I uploaded the prior video to YouTube. Check it out on my YouTube channel. Just search for Richard Victor Gaming. You can find me. But yeah, so the idea is that with some luck, we'll be able to get started on our map. I'll show you a program that I absolutely adore. It's called Campaign Cartographer 3 Plus. It's by Pro Fantasy Software. Not cheap, worth every penny if you're going to be doing your own maps. We'll talk a little bit about maps and map design philosophy, including as to whether or not you should. We'll talk about a few other things as the mood takes us. And as always, you got any questions about what it is I'm doing or why it is I'm doing it so badly, just let me know. I'd love to hear from you. All right. Okay, so let's talk. So when we got started yesterday, hang on a sec here. There we go. So when we got started yesterday, we basically determined that what we were going to be dealing with was a very simple there and back again style adventure. So the group arrives in the town of Arrowvale, merchant sailing vessel, I like to give names to everything. The players always, Matt Colville talks about verisimilitude, essentially believability, a sense that the individual details are in fact part of a greater whole. So naming everything, even if it's a ridiculous name, is better than no name at all. So they arrive in Arrowvale by this sailing ship to chase rumors of a lost treasure. Dirt simple, okay? So we got a very clear statement of where the players are and what it is they're here for. Some information gathering stuff that needs to happen. Then there's 3 scenes, for lack of a better way of putting it. There is the settlement, Arrowvale. There is the overland travel phase, and then there's the dungeon. Now, obviously enough, the players are going to do this backwards. So once they've fought in the dungeon for a while and perhaps either defeated it or have been defeated and therefore have to resupply, they're going to have to, rewind and do the overland phase and the settlement phase. And depending how big you make your dungeon, then it's entirely possible this piece here, these two pieces, which a lot of people overlook, might be just as important in your adventure in terms of setting and feel as the dungeon itself. So it's the reason I like to pay attention to it. The worst that happens is the players just skip it, for lack of a better way of putting it. They don't talk to anyone in town, they just head out, and they'll suffer the penalties for not doing so. Charisma is an incredibly popular dump stat. Who cares? I don't talk to anybody anyway. I'm a 15-year-old edgelord. I don't need to, Okay, great. Yeah, except my current Dungeons and Dragons group, my Monday Night 5e game, oddly enough, everyone was so strapped for character points that, most of them took charisma as their dump stat. So more than half the campaign has been about, you guessed it, social interactions, which is hysterically funny because the Warlock the Warlock is the face character, and he doesn't like talking to people. He doesn't like dealing with people. They're all horribly beneath him. So it's been fun. It's been remarkably fun to watch the surly dwarf and the drunk priest trying to make social, charisma rolls to influence people and win friends, right? I say that the ruins are only a day away. And I do that because for most people, overland travel's in the way. They don't like it. They don't want to talk about it. I put it there. My rule is the site of adventure should be not more than 1.5 times the level of the party away from the town. So if you're now this is intended to be aimed at second level adventurers, right? Technically the adventure range is 1 to 3. So you're going to want, for me at least, what I do is I say, okay, so not more than 2 days away. At worst, not more than 3 days away. So what I've done in here is the default is it's about a day. There we go. It's 2 full days of travel is what I have. And if they don't make their skill checks in the town, they're going to wind up basically wandering around the woods looking for the place for an extra day. And that's about as far as I want to stretch it. And the reason is the encounter table. You can wind up in a situation, if you make your overland travel phase too big, that the player spends most of their resources, that is, potions, all their consumables, right? Stuff that they would need in the dungeon. Spell points they're going to get back every time they take a long rest. Sorcerers will get back every time they take a short rest. Okay. But their consumables, their rations, if you track rations, their arrows, bolts, they're throwables. Even if they glean back, they only get 50% back. And stuff like, their potion supply. That's going to get chewed up on difficult but not plotline-centric encounters. So we put together our encounter table. I usually try and do a roster of 20 to 30 items. A good rule is 10 encounters per day of expected. Put together 10 encounters for every day you expect the party to be the normal duration of travel. So 2 days, 20 encounters. Okay? Don't make them all monsters. That's kind of dull. Fight is bore. And some of these things should be positive. It shouldn't all be horrible ways to die. So you'll see that, for example, if they on a 20 for an encounter, they run into the NPC trader Jonas Walton, and you roll 3d6. If you pitch a 6, for every 6 that you roll, he's got a +1 magic weapon he can sell the party. So this random encounter could actually turn out to be very, very fortuitous for the party, and that makes them far more inclined to talk first as opposed to just shooting everything they encounter if they know not everything they encounter is out to murder them. All right, so I've got some more work to do on my encounter table notes, but that's not what I want to do today. I actually want to start stitching together the map itself. So we're going to take a look at that. Just give me a sec. I'm going to put some music on. There we go. It's not bad. If that's a little loud, let me know. All right, so the application I got up on my screen right now is Campaign Cartographer 2. 3 Plus. Yeah, I'm so used to working with CC2. But this is CC3 Plus by Pro Fantasy Software. It's a CAD program, a computer-aided design program, and it helps you do layouts. And in this particular case, the layouts are for gaming environments. So you can do everything from fantasy to science fiction to modern to horror, you name it, everything in between. Some fantastic stuff out there. Recommend you look up some example maps. A lot of the prettiest stuff you're going to see out there has been done by some of the folks who've really mastered CC3. So this is a look at the map that my players have gone into. So we're going to do up a new map. And no, I don't want to save anything. We're going to do an overland map. Thing like you need. Let's go with a... Now, generally speaking, players can be expected to cover 25 miles a day. You cover about 3 miles an hour. So, what I tend to want to do... hang on a second here, just 1 second. We're going to go to our Dungeon Master's Guide. I use D&D Beyond as a lookup. Okay, here we go. So yeah, okay, so let's see what it says here. Okay. Yeah, days travel in any direction. Okay, that's cool. All right. So, if you're going to say 25 miles a day, which is 32 kilometers, I think. Hang on. Gotta stop doing that. So it's okay. So it's 25 miles, 40 kilometers. I tend to work in kilometers because I'm up in Canada. Up in Canada, what the hell? It's a round object. So yeah, so 40 kilometers. You get 40 kilometers travel in a day, right? By foot. If you're on a horse, generally speaking, all that improves is your carry capacity. Most folks don't move much faster than that. The unofficial rule that went for a long time was that you could cover your movement distance in a day. So if you've got a move speed of 30, then you could cover 30 miles a day. Okay. Hang on a sec. Alright, I'm just looking for something here. Yeah, they don't. I don't see here in the. Yeah, I don't see anywhere in the rule book where they actually state what your speed of travel is. So yeah, just go with the for. I tend to run with 25 miles a day, but I do remember back in the day that your overland distance was directly tied to your movement speed. So I can't find it right now. So I'm presuming they took that out in 5e. Okay, that's fine. The Dungeon Master's Guide, by the way, has got some fantastic stuff. If you're doing mapping, it's got some really good conventions. Just stick to them. They do work. A lot of them are what I've been doing all along. So it's stuff that, folks like Matt Colville, folks like me, have sort of figured out over time and have sort of been, distilled down. So if I know that I'm going to have 2.5 days, I need 2 days worth of travel. Then the idea is I'm going to need a map, 50, because I'm marching from a coastline inland, right? And so 25 miles a day, 2 days, I'm going to need 50 miles worth of hexes, right? And then you're probably going to want to have some padding on both sides, because that would be the hard edges. So you probably want 10 miles of sea available. At least, so if people can get the sense that there's an ocean there, or whatever it is that's off the coast that you sailed in on your ship. And then on the other side, you probably want at least another 10 miles in case the party is wandering around trying to figure out what the hell's going on. So, what we're going to do, so that gives us a rough idea that you want to go, 50 miles inland, 50 miles plus 10 plus 10, 70. We'll look at for a map that's in around the 75 to 80 mile template. Alright, so overland map. Let's just go with predefined template and see what they've got. The parchments are all cool. That 1,000 by 800 is way too big. Sarah Root. I gotta... this is the part where I always get stuck. I can never... Alright, we're gonna close and not do that. And give me a sec. Yeah, okay. Go to documents, CC3 docs. Overland. Where's the... yeah, we got... yeah, okay, we're on the overland settings. Just 1 second, I want to pop some documentation open here. Okay. Okay, that's dungeons, which I don't want yet. All right, we'll just make it up as we go along. I think I'm going to try and go with the Sarah Root style, so we'll do that. So we're going to say overland maps. We're going to go decide settings. Oh, that is pretty, isn't it? 13th Age, Ancient Realms. That's a cool look. Okay, very Tolkien. Kind of dark. Now, the Mercator maps are cool, but they've got a very modern connotation to them. I love the lightness of the Sarah Root stuff. Now that would be an option, right? Just to do a good old-fashioned hex crawl. Okay, I'm going to think real hard about that. That might be just fun to do entirely on the basis of nostalgia. Okay, that's the standard CC3 look. No, yeah, that's a modern metric looking. I think we're going to do the hex version. I think that's what we're going to do here. So overlaying hex. I'm going to work in metric because, yeah, Canada. And so I know. So we're going to do a little bit of math here. We know. So it's 25 times 2, and then we said 50, and then we said we're going to want at least another 20, 10 on each side. Oops, apologies, plus another 20. That gives us a 70 wide window. So we'll say 75, and then you multiply 1.6 to get kilometers. So we want 120 kilometers. So a 120 by 80 will do the job. So then I'm going to pad a little bit. 160 by 120. And this is... And this is going to be Arrowvale to Lost Ruins. And top left, we're going to put the map title. Top right, we'll put the copyright notice. Cancel. Bottom left, we'll put compass rose, and I rather like the look of this one. And there we go. And yeah, we'll and the map background, what am I going to use? We'll go with... mixed forest. No, that's kind of obnoxious, isn't it? That'll do it. We're not going to worry about a grid. No multiple levels. We're going to hit finish. And we'll just throw this on the desktop. Okay, that gets us our starting setup. So, now there's some things we're going to do. I'm immediately going to jump off this, and I'm going to, oops, cancel. Cancel. And I'm going to go here. I'm going to add, and this is going to be planning. And it's going to be z.planning. And z.planning goes on top, and we're going to apply and OK. So let's talk about what we know. So, and you're being just a little bit loud, Gav. Turn that down a bit more. Okay. Coffee, yay. All right. So, first thing I'm going to do is pick an obnoxious color. There we go. That's relatively obnoxious. And we're going to change our grid. User hex grid. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Now, if I take... Wow. What the hell? Okay. This might not work. Those hexes are huge. Let's take a look if I can trim this grid down a bit. 50 km user hex grid 2. Okay, edit. And it's going to be 2D hex. Actually, let me go take a look at what the user hex grid is. Okay, so it's a horizontal 28 by 25. Alright. Wow, they've really kind of... Alright, well, we're going to say... so. Okay, if I just say 12.5, are you going to scale automatically? Yeah, you do. Fantastic news. And there we go. And then if I grab one of these and I say scale... divided by 2. It's going to let me do this. I can't remember if it will. No, it won't. Copy. Where's my calculator? Divided by 2 is going to be 58, and then we're going to copy that and paste that back in, and more. Okay, and that gives us, now, can I? No. Hey, Chimera. Okay. So, hex grid, not hex grid Borkin? Why was it? Yeah, okay. So I do, okay, so, I was hoping to be able to do, this is a hex grid, and unfortunately the hex grid is based on the idea that you're doing a very big map area. So, and I'm not being able to scale my, so, okay, alright, we'll have to start over. That's unfortunate. No, don't do that. So we're going to do overland... I guess we're going to do 13th Age, because I really do like the look of that. Let's just take a quick peek. Yeah, let's do this one. Let's do this one. Ancient Realms is good. And we're going to go... what did we say? Yeah, 120. So 160... by 120, and this is Arrowvale to Lost Ruins. And we're just gonna do scrub background. Yeah, I really don't like that. No, we'll stick with the water. That's fine. And we can just hit finish here, and we'll desktop. Lost Ruins, save. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, there we go. So we've got our base map set up. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna add my planning layer. There we go. Cool. Alright. Grab my obnoxious color. So we know that we want to come in... basically I need to start chopping my map up. So what I do is I make some boxes. So I'm gonna grab right in here in the bottom corner. And... so hang on a second. So it's going to be we'll say 20 by 120, I think is the magic numbers. There we go. So there we are. So that gives me my this is my stays water, right? And then I'm going to copy that and do it. And we're going to copy from here over to here. So this is the wandering around lost zone. Okay, makes sense. And so this is the, and then essentially what I'm going to do is repeat the process to give me my working zone. And we're just going to grab this one, do it, and copy from here is fine. Oops, actually I've got a better copy tool. That copy tool's got more options. Do it. Copy from here. Okay, and so I'm going to hold down my shift key. We're going to knock this over at an angle. And then that'll go in here. And we're going to do the same thing up here. Okay, so the whole point is that this layer, this sheet, I can turn it off, right? So I go back down to common, I can actually hide this. And if I do that, it goes away. So what that lets me do, oops, cancel, is build an overlay that helps me constrain my map design. I know that I don't want to go over here for wherever the dungeon winds up. I don't want to be out here because this is where the port is. So north is up. It's sort of a convention with mapping, right? So yeah. Okay. Now, first thing we're going to want to do is our landmass. For me, it's just automatic. If it's a coastal town, it's in a cove. I don't know of many that aren't, unless it's on a bluff where the prevailing wind hits the far side, and so they build into the lee. But generally speaking, yeah, it's a cove. So we're going to do that first. So we're going to grab the landmass tool. I'm going to start up here, and we're going to... Oops. In a second, overland, landmass. Can I do this? Okay, first off, what's my grid at? Edit my grid. 20K. 20K is way too big. I'm gonna add a new grid. So it's gonna be a 2D rectangular, and this is gonna call this a 5K. 5K 4 snap. That's perfectly fine. And there we go. Alright, so let's see if I can do this here. No, it's going to be a brat about that. Why? What's it doing? I'm doing something wrong and I can't figure out what. Okay. Well, land default. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Why? Alright, well, I'll straighten it out here. Let's try sketch. I haven't tried this map in a while. Oh, that's interesting. I kind of like that. Alright, I think I see what we can do here. I'm just experimenting here for a sec. And we'll go with sketch again. If I draw outside the box, are you going to play nice? Yeah, you are. That's cool. Okay, I see what it did. Huh. So we use the sketch tool. I'm going to start up here. Okay, so, wow, okay, it's being really cranky. Overland, landmass, sketch. Cool. Okay, it's working as an actual sketch tool. Got it. Sorry, not you. This is actually new. I'm not seeing this behavior before with CC. It's actually quite nice. I like this. And then we're going to go outside the map border here intentionally. And we're just going to wobble our way up. And then come down and join. So now when we... There we go. And so what happens is everything we drew outside gets chopped off automatically. So there we have our initial map. Okay? So, let's zoom in a bit here. Okay, so there's our map. So, we have to put our little town in, right? Okay, I see. So this is the big tip-offs. So if there's... Okay, we've got some large icons here. And here we've got some... Okay. Which one do I like the look of better? Now, varicoloreds are... VC stands for varicolor. So if I, for example, set this to obnoxious purple, you'll notice all the roofs turn purple. So there's various elements which change to whatever color you set. So I think we're going to go with the town. Is there a color I like the look of here? More of a... Okay, yeah, never mind. No, we're fine. Okay, we're just going to grab the town. So that goes there. And then we're going to just text this in. This is Arrowvale. Okay. Oops. Alright, let's just set this back to basic black. And we're gonna now, because I screwed this up, we're gonna edit. Arrowvale. Do it. Color is fine, just black. Thanks. Here we are. Now if I zoom out, does that wind up way small? No, that's actually pretty reasonable. So now I'm going to go up here. I'm going to text. And I'm going to put a drop shadow. And I'm going to put an outer glow. And apply, and OK. And wow, that's obnoxious, so we're going to dial that back a bit. So probably 2 units, right? Still too obnoxious. Blur of 1. A little less opacity. Apply. Okay, so 1 and 0.5. Hmm. 0.5 and 0.25. Okay, that's not bad. And then the drop shadow we'll leave alone for now. I'm going to zoom back in. Step out 1 notch. I think the drop shadow is superfluous, so we're going to get rid of it. Yeah. So we'll just delete. Thank you. Redrawn, okay. And then I'm going to edit this again. And can I get away with a yellow if I do that? Nah, doesn't look good. Maybe one that's do it. Let's go for a much more of a dark gold. No, it just doesn't really. It's just not doing what I want. Okay, so. All right, well that's fine. So we're gonna edit. You do it. We're gonna go back to just basic black, and I'm just gonna get rid of the drop of the glow. Some maps you can do some really interesting effects using glows and stuff like that to make stuff pop, but this just isn't working because of the scale. That's all right. So here we're gonna get rid of you, and I'm gonna put the drop shadow in, and we're gonna go 3, 3, 75, 3. Okay. And it's map units, not percentage view. That causes all kinds of other friggin' problems. So 1, 1, 1, 82. And what's 100% opacity give me? That looks much better. I like that. And 0.75, 1. Yes, that's much better. Okay, cool. Sorry of a fuss about stuff like this. I'm absolutely a presentation tramp. Okay, so we have our little town of, yep, we'll save now. So we got our town of Arrowvale. We've got the initial coastline put in. We know that we're going to have, we said that it's going to be some river and forest travel. So we're going to put a river in next. A river's going to run off the edge of the map. Okay? So our river is the obvious road up. Okay, so we're going to start with a medium river. And that will get us to there. And then I'm going to zoom in on this. And then we're going to do a river, and here it's going to be a small river. Actually, no, you go the other way, don't you? Yeah, so this becomes a large river. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to just nip and tuck as it were. So this is going to pull back here. And then we're going to move this point. And we're just going to move it back so it touches the coast. Ah, bugger. Sorry about that. And so then, if we back out a zoom level, or 2, so the river jigs into Arrowvale and comes out here. That's cool. And obviously that's the reason Arrowvale is here, right? We got a little bay. That's good. So now we need to justify a little bit with terrain what we're going to do. Oops, sorry. What am I going to do here? We're going to put some hills in, I think. So, obviously enough, the river is going to be a valley. The coast is a terminus. I think it makes sense that this would be a little bit of a headland and a little bit of a headland here, so this is going to be built up a little bit higher than perhaps Arrowvale. So, okay, that gives us a good place to work from. All right. Now. Terrain. Okay. I'm just going to experiment with something here. So, mountains gray, mountains brown, scrublands, volcanic. Okay, I think I get what they're doing here. Each map has got its own sort of internal language, so I'm just trying to figure out. Okay, so I'm going to do the contour lines first because that's just mentally how I think. And we just run outside the map here. Aha, okay, that is water. Okay, we don't want that. All right, so okay, now I get it. That's why I was testing. So it's going to be terrain, and so what we're going to do is okay, so this map contours are ocean only, or this map style. I haven't done this map style before, so a little bit of learning going on. Okay, so we're going to put our mountains in, so... And mountains is really not the right term, I suppose. Let's grab our... Okay, so we've got foothills. We've got mountain background. We've got our hills. Okay, cool. Because this is... Mountains might be a little bit deeper in, but... Yeah, okay. Terrain. Do I have hills? Not really. Mountains brown, mountains gray. Okay. So I'm going to do... Gray first. No, the brown first. Okay, yeah. Okay, so... Oh, I need something else. Well, give me one sec here, folks. I apologize for the wandering around in circles, but... River default, land default... Okay. I'm just taking a look at what some of my options here are. Wastes. Okay, that's some nice fills and items. Okay, cool. And we've got, okay, some decent looking forest to work with. Okay, cool. I think I get it. We're gonna go cartouche. I'm gonna grab a nice dark blue. And I'm gonna draw a box, and we're just gonna arbitrarily start here. And what I'm gonna do is it's gonna be, it's X, Y. So, give me a sec. So 2 kilometer, so we're gonna go 10K. So 10 by 3. Okay, I went the wrong way. I did that wrong. Okay, so box, and it's going to be 0, 0. And then it's going to be 10, 3. And that's it. And then I'm going to move this, but not you, because you're kind of annoying me. I blew it. Well, I have a way of dealing with this problem. Just one sec. I kind of posed something here. Auto hide, common, and everything but common and cartouche. Okay. Where'd my box go? Let me guess. It didn't get put on that. Did it wind up on the land? On land? Okay, fine. Show all. Okay, well, I've got a different way of doing this. And then draw a line, double line. Okay. And I want to start, yeah, separation 2, 1. That's kind of awkward. They're not a, sorry, I'm used to seeing a, why does it keep... It keeps throwing the thing I'm working on the onto a lower layer and disappearing on me. All right, well, fine. Just so how wide is that? That's 16 kilometers. Okay, that's okay. So the bay. So the bay here is. All right, that's not so bad. Okay, so distance again. Yeah, so from the mouth of the bay to the point here is 20 kilometers. Okay, that gives me a rough idea. I just like having a visible scale on the map, but this is being an absolute troll about doing that for me. So, I have a solution. We'll go to Z planning again. And we'll set back to obnoxious purple. We're going to draw a circle. Draw circle based on radius and center. And I'm going to kind of arbitrarily put it here, and I want that to be 10K. Actually, escalator. Let me just do this differently. Sorry, I'm kind of mentally running in circles here. Trying to figure out the best way to do this. And draw tools. Drawing aid, snaps. Okay. Alright, well, that's fine. So just real quick here, just what's that? That's it. Okay, so, alright, that gives me a good feel for what I want to do. Okay. I'm going to back out again. I'm going to go back to my overland, my terrain. We're going to do our gray no, brown first, because, yeah, it's fine. Terrain. Okay. And again, we'll just run outside the map border here, and that gives that. So that gives us our rough idea there. We're going to do the same thing again down here. This one's pretty straightforward. There's going to be a little bit of a narrows in the river there. We want a little bit of a big... And we're going to do this as a swamp down here. Okay, that gives us that. And we're going to terrain, mountains gray, and we're just going to do a little bit of mountain. And the mountains are mostly going to occupy the don't go zones. Okay. There we go. So that gives us our hills area. We got our mountains. I'm going to put a little hunk of mountain here. So there's essentially going to be a little bit of a small pass here. Don't like that. Whoops, wrong button. There we go. And we're going to do the same thing over here. All right. Cool. Okay, that gets us enough of that. Now, terrain. I want some swamp. Here we are. And we're going to intentionally start under the mountains here, and this is obviously going to be huge. There we go. Oh, interesting. It didn't do what I wanted. Okay, I can understand why. So we're going to have to do that again. And I'm going to be a little bit more constrained in my swamping here, I think. And then I'm going to add here more like this. There. And then I'm going to grab this one, more like that. Oops. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Alright, so that gives us our swamp. Now we want to have some trees. So we're going to lay our trees in next. Terrain. And forest. There we are. Oh. So we're gonna kind of... how do I want to do this? I think the forest sort of goes right down to the coast here is what I want to do. And we'll arbitrarily have it kind of blend in with the swamp over here. And of course, Arrowvale, there's going to be a little cutout because Arrowvale has logged the hell out of the area so that they would have a town. And there we go. Yep, save now, because crashes are for live streams. We'll redraw that. And so we've got a forest surrounding Arrowvale, the river running through it. Looks pretty good. And then we're going to do another patch of forest up here. Just actually, oops, yeah. So the swamp kind of gives way to a foresty type area up here. And we're going to do the same thing down here. Alright. That's looking pretty good. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So somewhere up around here is where we're going to put our somewhere in this area here, I think, is where we'll put our location. So I'm going to want to put a bit more forest in here and up here. Step out a little bit. And that will just get neatly taken care of by map clipping, and we'll do the same thing here. There we go. All right. All right, that looks pretty good. So we've got our forest and stuff. We're going to put in our hills. So the catch here is that when you're so I'm just gonna hang on a second. How do I explain this? So what you want to do is basically build your road, and in this case, the road is the river. So the road is how your adventurers get to and from the adventure. And then what you do is you shape your terrain to justify the road. Don't do it the other way around, you'll drive yourself nuts. So you'll see what we've done here is the first thing it is I basically drew the outside lines. I put the river in and said I blocked the, I blocked my adventure area into frames. So these are the areas that the adventure will not happen. I mean, if the adventurers are way down here, they're lost, and it can happen. But yeah. So the idea is, if I just one sec here, distance. So from here to here is 90 kilometers. 90 kilometers. 90 divided by 1.6 is 56 miles. So that's basically going to be the distance that they're going to wind up walking, right? From about here to about here. So somewhere around here is where the adventure is, and they're going to follow the river to get there. They can wander anywhere they want, but the obvious answer is stick to the river. How they do that, if they get a little boat, if they just walk the riverbanks, they get horses, doesn't matter. So yeah. Everything else is, all of your map design is to justify the road. I've seen some folks using tools which will do fantastically detailed topographical maps, and then they're left trying to figure out where settlements and everything else go. Basically, it generates the cartography, the geography for you, and then leaves to you the job of figuring out what intelligent population looks like. This path, at least with me, leads to madness. I much prefer to say, the town is here, the other town is there, or the town is here, the adventure is there, and then rearrange the land around it so that there's a reason you would go between the two places. Much less aggravating. At least to me. Okay, so now we're gonna draw our hills in real quick. Turn the grid off because I don't need it at this point. What I'm doing is hitting my tab key to switch the... every time I click, it proposes a different pattern of hills. And in a perfect design, what I would be doing is working from top right to bottom left, because that is the usual order that the map draws. Unfortunately, because of the way I think, that doesn't work. So yeah, but every once in a while, for example, if I need something that's going to be a bit more angular, I can just keep clicking my tab key until I get the look I want, right? And it is randomly picking these, by the way. So it gives you a little bit of... And you don't have to absolutely fill the area with symbols. The idea is to give an impression to the players of what the terrain might look like. And if you have some gaping gaps, then you can go in and fill them out. Don't be afraid, particularly with these symbols, to stray outside the lines. Hills, you can have hills covered in grass just as well as you can have hills covered in, not grass. Same thing if a few of them stray up into the area that's, quote, mountains, not the end of the world. There. That gets us that. Now we're going to grab our mountains. We have foothills, and so this is what I'm going to do. This area here is just going to be... we'll put a regular mountain in the middle of that. That's kind of aggro... No, that's too big. So this plot is just going to be essentially foothills. Just big enough that it's going to be a pain in the backside, right? So again, the idea here is not to... these are not the exact locations of those hills and whatever. It's to give a sense of the terrain. It's a fantasy map. Now we're going to do some foothills all along here. Here we go. And we'll do a few of these mountains. And then we'll fill a couple of these in. And then Great Peaks are just too big. Okay, and when I redraw, everything that doesn't fit on the map just gets lopped off by the white overlay border. So there we go. All right. Now we're going to do the same thing down here. So... Here we go. Save that because crashes are for live streams. Just give me a sec. I want to check, make sure my work email isn't freaking at me about something. Okay. No, not that. That. Nope. Okay, so quiet day at the office so far makes me I'm just as happy about that. We're gonna drop a couple of Great Peaks down in this corner, just to give a sense that there's a bigger mountain range down that way. Then we're gonna grab a few of these, and again, it doesn't matter if they're on or off the map border. In fact, if they vanish slightly, it gives a sense of depth. No, it's not gonna fit there. Okay, cool. Grab our hills. There we go. So that gives us our initial map, right? So the last thing to do is put the adventure location in, and then provide some other information for the for the GM. So we're gonna go. I'm gonna type in keep. There we go. And now, let's see if I can't get this to work. Okay, so 20. So 20 is the magic number. So each of these circles represents about 4 hours of travel. Okay. And the reason I'm doing that is the idea here is I need to roughly have what I need to start doing now is providing more information to the GM, right? Oh, and I need to make one more copy of that. So we're going to grab one of these, do it, copy from here, and we're actually going to put that over here. There, just out in the foothills. Okay. So, so now we need to start providing more information for the GM. I'm going to go here, and we're going to change there, put this back to black. Now there's a Game Master only layer, and so what we're going to do is put some information on the GM layer in just a moment. And the reason we're going to do that is because essentially there's going to be, in roll 20, which is what this is intended for, you have the ability to provide, basically show a map and then put things onto another layer, which is GM only. So what we're going to do is we're going to create the player view of the map. That's what we're working on now, less the pink stuff, because if I turn this layer off, then this is the map that everybody sees, right? The planning layer is literally just to help us design the map. So now what I'm going to do is provide, I guess the best way of putting it is a series of encounter zones, and that's going to be GM only. So what I needed to know was, well, okay, so if we're going to say that every 4 hours is a chance of an encounter, then it would be nice if the area that was most likely to be wandered along through by the by the players had some kind of guidelines, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's cool. So we're on common sheet, we're on standard. What I'm going to do here is we're going to grab number 1, yep. Okay, that's need to make that a bit bigger. Oops. And we're going to MP edit this. Text properties, please. Height is gonna make it 4, and that's fine. We'll go with Middle Ages. And okay. Alright. And then we're gonna back out a bit. And we're gonna keep you. Okay, so that gives us hopefully now our 2. Yep, that's fine. So this is area 2. Three. 4. 5. 6 and 7. There we go. Okay. So now what we're gonna do is just map notes. Back to my Word document. Map notes. Areas. Okay, here we go. Cool, and so this is area, and this is notes. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, way to go up to 7, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so, and then we're going to zoom in on our map. Yep, save now. So we can make some notes about our map. Heavy forest. Obviously, it's the first one. We'll go take a look. In this area, on encounters, roll 1d6. On 1, choose a blight creature. Otherwise, roll random on chart. So what we're going to do is bias some areas to having certain flavors, right? Areas 2 and 3, we're going to say are going to be more likely to be lizards. River and marsh. And we're going to say that area 2, area 3, at night, this, if party has a lit campfire, double odds of encounter. Okay. So we're going to flavor some stuff up. We still want some randomness. We don't want this to be the same adventure every damn time they play it. But what we've got is that some areas are just going to be more dangerous than others, and we're going to write that right into the design. So 4 is going to be harpies. And this place is pretty dangerous too. Alright, cool. And we're going to let, so the idea is 5 and 7, we're going to let the players know that they're probably in the right track. Choose a natural encounter. Otherwise, roll random. Why are you being difficult? We want to signal to the players that they're in the right neighborhood, right? Nothing special. And then 7 is hills and broken. Hills and forest. Now here, and the term I'm using is natural feature. Okay, so it's 11, okay, 2, 11, 16. Okay, 2, 11, 16. Okay, so here, basically, this is a little bit of game of hot potato. We certainly want them to know that there's some reason to be snooping around this neighborhood, right? So that 2, 11, and 16, of course, is the altar, the well, and the dead adventuring party. So if we haven't used those already in random rolls, then we're going to use them now. And that will tell the players, hey, why are there adventurers here? Hey, there's an old well. There's something in this area, right? That's their hints. Okay, so that gives us our rough layout. And now, and so we're going to put our ancient ruins down about here. Right, there we are. And I'm going to move that more here. Yeah, it looks a bit better. I like the fact that there's tentacles coming out of the ruins. That's kind of cutesy. And then we're going to actually change which symbol. I'm going to... Okay, we're going to edit the property on this symbol, do it, and I want you to go layer. I actually want you to be on the GM layer. Game Master only. There we are. So what happens here is that if I go and I say, don't show me the GM layer, it vanishes. If I enable the GM layer, it appears. So what I'm going to do is ship, basically, the map will go with a version of this, essentially with the map rendered with the GM layer off, and then I will do, basically turn the rest of the map on and only render the GM layer, including the numbers and things like that, so that all that information is only visible. But the GM, because it's going to be a transparent layer with just the GM stuff on it, and then the map layer in roll 20, the two will line up. And what you'll see is, for the GM, he'll have all his information right there. The players won't be able to see that stuff. That's the idea. We'll see how well it actually works. Okay. So we're going to back up. You're being a brat. Okay, I want you on the GM layer, please. And I want the GM layer hidden. Okay. I want GM hidden. Good. Do it. Good. So what I'm doing is I've got the GM layer hidden so that I know that the work I'm doing is getting rendered properly. It just vanishes as soon as I click them out. It also lets me know if I've managed to grab the wrong thing, which you can do relatively easily in this game. Sometimes the chooser is isn't very discriminate. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to zoom out one more layer. Okay, so now if I go back here and I turn my Game Master layer back on, all that data reappears. So that tells us, that gives the players the ability to, so that gives the GM some more information for his map, right? And this is a pretty straightforward adventuring map. It establishes a very firm box. The players know, the GM can easily see the route, the players can easily see the route. Yeah, and the idea is that they should have been told in Arrowvale, follow the river past the swamp. Once you get to the swamp, you'll pass through another large forest. As soon as you get out of the large forest, follow the forest and head south, and that'll take you into the hills. It's not far from the river from the hills. Easy directions, right? So it's the adventure progress should be this. If there's a ranger in the group, it will be that. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. That's essentially the map done. Everything else that you might want to color in here, ruins, whatever, it's literally distractions. It's just stuff to pretty up the map. Yeah, okay. Yep, there's nothing here I need to do any... Nothing else I need to do here. So we could throw more symbols at the map. You know, we could put... It's kind of looking stark up here, so maybe what we should do is fill in a forest here and fill in a forest here. Just to break up the pattern. And you can see that the hills poke through the forest, right? Zoom back into where we were. Oops. So yeah, you can see how that works. The layering system that they use in CC3, Campaign Cartography 3, is really nice that way. It allows you to produce some really good looking go. And I think we're going to do... maybe just here we go. And then... there. A little bit of liven up on the map down here. Oh, interesting. Well, that's a nice effect, isn't it? I like that. It's going to stick out like a sore thumb. It'll possibly provoke another adventure on this map. You know, okay, what's that's really conspicuous. Maybe we should go down there and look. But and this area here needs a little bit of green. Now I want to try something. Farmland, there we are. Now, how's it going to layer that? Ooh, it completely ate it. All right. that's kind of awkward. Let me mess with that some more. Farmland, sure. We're going to do a much smaller farmland now. List. Do it. So that is number 68627 if I need it. Okay. So what I'm going to do here, I want front 68627. Good. And then I want to make this do it. Well, that's awkward. Why is it doing that? Move. Number 68627. Do it. And you just go over here. Cool. It's on land features, natural features. I see what the problem is. Okay. Yeah, you see what's happening, right? It's getting completely faded out. And the town is big enough that it's just not showing. And then, okay, so we'll just... That's unfortunate. I'd been kind of hoping that it'd be cool, but can't do that. That's fine. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to do the next thing. I don't know. Anyone think there's anything missing on this? I think this is plenty busy. I think it gets us where we want to go. So I'm going to turn this off. Alright, so that's the... And then I'm going to turn the GM layer off. There we go. Okay. So now we're going to export this. And here we're just going to throw it on the desktop. And we're going to export this as